Welcome. This is Bob Dust again, your instructor for the Database Concepts and Fundamentals course. Today's lesson number 4, is an overview of the normalization process. Now you can look at this as one of two ways. You can view this at the beginning of the normalization lesson or at the end as a refresher, or both. You can start out by going over some of the concepts of normalization and then finish up by looking at the details behind this in other tutorials. Again, I am Bob Dust, your instructor. This is me, and let's continue. All right, so let's start out with what are the goals of normalization. We have three things we want to eliminate. We want to eliminate inconsistent data, meaning that if data is in multiple places and they don't agree with each other, then we have a problem, because we don't know which one is right. Second goal we have is to eliminate redundant data, because when we have redundant data, we have problems with storage, with backup, with updates, inserts, and deletes. We have to make sure we do all those in every place we have the data. And of course that's expensive, and that does lead to the first problem, which is inconsistent data. And the third goal we have is to eliminate missing data. When we have data that we don't store, we can't report on it, we can't display it to our users, and we can't do business decisions based upon data that we don't have. So these are the goals we have with normalization. We got some more terminology here, and these are more specific to normalization and may or may not have been repeated in some earlier lessons, but it won't hurt to review them again if we have mentioned them. The first one is repeating groups. We're going to talk about determinants. We're going to talk about transitive dependencies. Remember composite key. Remember, a composite key is a key that has more than one attribute in it. And a non-key attribute, remember that term from before? A non-key attribute is an attribute that is not part of the primary key. So let's talk about non-repeating groups. Remember, a non-repeating group says each attribute is single valued, meaning there's only one data point stored in an attribute. We don't want a list or a collection or groups of data in one attribute. It should be one and only one value. Each cell contains only one value, and each cell domain is atomic, meaning that the meaning of the attribute never changes. Some older systems, you may see it, there are some new systems, I hope not, but you might, where the value or the meaning of a domain is dependent on the value of another attribute. We don't want that. The meaning is the same no matter what entity you're looking at, and no matter what the other data values are within that entity, the meaning stays the same. All right, remember determinant? Well, I can't remember if we covered this or not in the previous lesson, but we do have a tutorial on determinant. I'll briefly go over it here. Determinant says if A determines B, then for every value of A, we get one and only one value for B. Okay. Conversely, B is determined by A, says that the meaning of B is determined by the value of A. Now, determinant is a fancy word for primary key. It can mean other things, but think of it as primary key. Okay, transitive dependency says if A determines B and B determines C, then that means that A determines C as well. Now we'll get into what this means in normalization in some other tutorials, but we just want to remind you, refresh your memory that A determines B and B determines C, then A also determines C. Okay, here are the definitions. I'm not going to go into the meat behind it, but these are the definitions of the first four normal forms. First normal form says a schema is in first normal form if there are no repeating groups, meaning every attribute has only one value. That is first normal form. There is a YouTube video out there. There is a link on Blackboard to the video. Here it is. I know it's kind of gibberish, but here it is. You can copy that or type it in, whatever. But there is a link in Blackboard to the tutorial lesson on first normal form. Second normal form. A schema is in second normal form when it is in first normal form and all the non-key attributes are dependent on the entire primary key. Now this has to do with, this deals with when the primary key is composite, meaning there's more than one attribute in the primary key. Second normal form says that all non-key attributes need the entire primary key for it to have meaning. If it uses only a portion of the primary key, it then violates second normal form. Now, if an entity has only one key for the primary key and it is in first normal form, then it automatically would also be in second normal form because there is no composite key. Okay, there's also a YouTube video for second normal form. There is a link on Blackboard. Here is the link here if you want to type in that gibberish, but there is a link on Blackboard to a tutorial that deals only with second normal form. Okay, third normal form. A schema is in third normal form when it is first normal form, second normal form, and there are no transitive dependencies. Remember, transitive dependency says A determines B, B determines C, then A determines C. So if you have your primary key is A, but you have an attribute for C, then you have violated third normal form because we do not want transitive dependencies in our database design. Again, there is a YouTube video on Blackboard. There's a link to a tutorial for third normal form. Fourth normal form, a schema is in fourth normal form when it is in third normal form and there are no multivariate dependencies. Now, I haven't told you what multivariate dependencies are, and there's a reason for that because just forget fourth normal form. There is no tutorial for it. We'll just leave it at first, second, and third normal form will be as far as we want to go for this course. There are actually, I think, 7 normal forms. But if you can get the first 3, you have 99% of the problem solved. I made that number up, but you understand. You'll have most of your problems solved if you can design your systems to third normal form. So again, this tutorial is just a overview of the normalization process. It helps us understand it. So I want to introduce the terms, I want to introduce the rules to you. The tutorials go into more detail on the first, second, third normal form. Those links are on Blackboard. I encourage you to go through those, obviously. And when you're done, maybe you want to come back and review this tutorial again, just to refresh your memory without all the gibberish that goes behind it. So, next step for you is to view the tutorials for first, second, third normal form. Have fun.